Mr. Nitish Chugji. He is a chartered accountant, a registered valuer, and insolvency professional. He has more than a decade of years of experience in regard to the valuation as well as Indias. So today we will be discussing more of regarding the Indias, which is specially applicable for the valuation exam as well as in the general practice of all the practitioners. So today we will be discussing on the Indias 109. Tomorrow as well we will be discussing on the Indias aspect. So over to you, Nitish ji.
Thank you, Manas ji, and a very good morning to all the participants, and very good evening to Nagesh Babuji. He is joining from US. अब तो बहुत late night हो गई है वहाँ पे already. So we are starting the session today. Before that, I'd like to inform all the participants that we are having a session today evening as well on Indias 103 that will be taken by Praveen Kaushik ji. He is also a registered valuer. And tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, we are having a session on 113 fair value measurement that will be taken by Karun ji. And tomorrow evening, the timing will be different. It will be 4 to 6. It will be taken by C.A. Neeraj Mittal ji. He is also an expert in India's valuation. So he will be covering the topic on impairment of assets. So the same link will be applicable for all these sessions. There will be no separate link will be sent to anyone. This will work for all the sessions. So now I'm starting my presentation. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So the name of the Indias is 109 financial instruments. In this, there are three aspects that is being covered: recognition, measurement, and derecognition. Today we will be covering in this the definition of financial assets, financial liabilities, what are the financial instruments, then their classification, how these are being classified, then the recognition and measurement criteria, then there is a concept of liability versus equity that will also go through, then transaction in own equity shares, if time permits, we'll go through reclassification and compound financial instruments as well. So what is a financial instrument? A financial instrument is a contract. A financial instrument is a contract that gives rise to both a financial asset of one entity, and a financial liability of other entity, or equity instrument of another entity. A financial asset at one hand and a corresponding liability to the counterparty or equity instruments. For example, आपने कोई सर्विसेज दी किसी को और आपके ट्रेड रिसीवेबल है, दैट इज द फाइनेंशियल एसेट ऑफ एंटिटी ए. फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटी पेबल to that entity for the services is the financial liability. If the sum payable is in form of equity shares, then it is the equity instrument of other entity, but still it is a financial instrument. Okay. So let us come to the definition of financial asset. Financial asset की definition जो standard में दी है, that is financial asset is cash. A cash is also a financial asset. Cash is financial asset or equity instrument of another entity. For example, investments in equity, that is your financial asset. Then that gives right any asset or any instrument that gives you the contractual right to receive cash or another financial asset that gives you contractual right. यहाँ पे focus करिएगा. It has to be the contractual right to receive cash or another financial asset or exchange financial assets or financial liabilities under favorable condition terms. So if you have there is a contract in which you are having favorable conditions, then that is also classified as a financial assets if you have the right to exchange financial asset or financial liability. For example, बहुत ही layman term में example दूंगा. If you have any interest rate swap agreement in which there is the contract is favorable to you, then it is a financial asset, right? Then in certain cases, certain contracts which are settled in entity's own equity, that is also financial assets. हम इसको थोड़ा डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे. There is a separate section on this. We'll cover that in detail. So इस next slide में I am going to ask questions from you based upon this definition of financial assets. What are all the there will be certain heads that I'll ask whether it is a financial asset or not. So you need to go through the same again. I am repeating for the sake of convenience. Financial asset is cash or equity instrument of another entity, or a contractual right to receive a cash or financial asset, or to exchange financial asset or financial liabilities under potentially favorable conditions, right? Or it could be equity shares in settled in entity's own equity shares, right? So let us have a quiz, please, on this. I'll simply request everyone to participate either through the chat box or they can unmute it themselves as well. Investment in equity share, what is this? Whether it is a financial asset or not? Yeah, it's a financial asset. Very well replied. It's a financial asset. The reason being, the definition of financial asset specifically includes equity instrument of another entity. So it's a financial asset. The second one is the investment in bond and debentures. Please reply in the chat box whether it's a financial asset or not. Again, it's a financial asset. The reason being, it gives you a contractual right to receive cash or other financial assets. Then the third one is the loans and receivables. Yes, it's a financial asset. Contractual right to receive cash or other financial. The next one is deposits given. Whether it's a financial asset. Please participate in the chat box. So it's a financial asset. Contractual right to receive cash or other financial asset. Trade and other receivables. It is also a financial asset. It gives you a contractual right to receive cash or other financial assets. Perpetual debt instrument held. Yes, anyone? So it is also a financial asset. It gives you a right to receive cash or other financial asset. Basically, this is the principle by which you can decide whether it is a financial asset or not. If it gives you right to receive cash or any other financial asset, then it is a financial asset, right? The next one is cash and cash equivalent. This is specifically included in the definition of cash, so it is a financial asset. Next is bank balance. Of course, this is also a financial asset. It is a contractual right to receive cash. The next one is inventory. This one is interesting. Please bear a thought on this, whether it's a financial asset or not. Waiting for your replies, please. It's not a financial instrument. Basically, it does not fulfill the definition. There is no contractual right to receive cash or other financial assets. आपकी inventories हैं. Inventories are your assets. but not a financial asset. It does not give you any contractual right to receive cash or other financial. Property, plant and equipment. Right. It is also not a financial instrument. These are the fixed assets, and it does not fulfill the definition also. There is no right to receive cash or other financial assets. The next one is the intangible assets. The answer is same. It's not a financial instrument because it does not fulfill definition and there is no contractual right to receive cash or other financial assets. Prepaid expenses. This one is also very, very interesting. So most of you have replied it correctly. It's not a financial instrument because this does not fulfill the definition and there is no right to receive cash or financial instrument. The only right that is there with the company or the entity is to right to receive service. Whatever amount that you have already paid to a particular entity, that entity is not going to return it to you. Instead, in that against that consideration, you will be receiving a service or any product. So prepaid expenses is not a financial instrument, not a financial asset. Okay. I hope this is clear. The next one is the advance received for goods and services. So this is also not a financial instrument. This does not fulfill the definition. There is an obligation to deliver. It's opposite of prepaid expenses. So it cannot be a financial liability. We have not covered the definition of financial liability, but we can make out from this. There is an obligation to deliver service or product, but no obligation to deliver cash or financial instrument. The last one is gold. Whether it is a financial instrument or financial asset. Right. So gold is also not a financial instrument or a financial asset. It does not fulfill definition. The gold is highly liquid, but it does not represent contractual right to receive cash or another financial instrument. So you can sell it in the open market, but that does not mean that it is a financial asset or a financial liability. So now next is we'll be covering the definition of financial liability. I hope everything is clear so far. No doubts in this. If anyone has any doubt, please write it in the chat box. Okay, so moving ahead, financial liability. The definition of financial liability, it has two limbs. The first limb says it's a contractual obligation. It's a contractual obligation to deliver cash, either to pay out the person or another financial asset, or to obligation to deliver another financial asset or exchange instruments under potentially unfavorable conditions. So if there is a unfavorable condition and you have to exchange any instrument, that is your financial liability. We will see example of this as well. Then the second limb says where there are certain contracts which are settled in entity own equity. So it could be financial asset also, it could be financial liability also. This will studied in detail. The second limb. So as of now, what can we say is the contractual obligation to deliver cash or another financial asset, it's a financial liability, or to exchange instruments under potentially unfavorable conditions is a financial liability. Now let us have another quiz on financial liability. Please identify whether it's a financial liability or not. Deposits received. Please reply in the chat box. Yeah, it's a financial liability, definitely. Because it's a contractual obligation to pay cash. We have discussed in the previous case also, deposit given was financial asset. So financial asset of one entity is a financial liability of another entity, or a liability of equity of other entity. So it's a financial liability because there is an obligation to pay out the cash. Then trade and other receivables. I hope this is very, very simple. I've not received any reply on the same. Okay, very good. This is also a financial liability. In this also we have there is a contractual obligation to pay cash. The third one is the mandatory redeemable preference shares. This one is interesting. Please apply the definition and then reply on this. Yeah, correct. It's a financial liability because it is mandatory requirement to redeem the preference share. So it's a contractual obligation to pay cash. There could be an element of compound financial instrument that is different, but it's primarily a financial liability. Then finance lease obligation. Finance lease obligation is also a financial liability. There is an obligation to pay cash. Then financial guarantee. Any response for the same? Okay. So it's a financial asset for one entity and financial liability for another entity because it is a contractual right or obligation to receive or pay cash even if those are contingent or certain events. आपने कोई financial guarantee दी है that is dependent upon certain conditions that or contingent upon certain events. Even then it is a financial asset or a financial liability for respective entity. अगर आपने फाइनेंशियल गारंटी दी है तो आपके लिए वो फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटी है और जिसको दी है उसके लिए वो फाइनेंशियल एसेट, राइट? एंड वी हैव अ सेपरेट सेशन ऑन दिस financial guarantee, the valuation of financial guarantee also. How do we measure or how do we value the financial guarantees? So the next one is deferred revenue. This one is also very interesting. So it's not a financial instrument because it does not fulfill the definition. There is no contractual obligation to pay cash or another financial asset. Whatever obligation is there, that is not to pay cash or another financial asset. There is only obligation to deliver services or goods. Warranty obligations. It's not a financial instrument because it does not fulfill the definition. There is no obligation to pay cash or another financial asset. Income tax and deferred tax. This one is also interesting. Please apply the definition. It's not a financial instrument. It does not fulfill the definition. Income taxes are statutory assets or liability, but not contractual assets or liabilities. So it is not a contractual liability to pay cash. It is a statutory liability. So you have not entered into any contract with the government. So it's not a contractual liability. So it's not a financial instrument. Regarding deferred revenue, someone has raised the question that why it is not a financial instrument, because there is no contractual obligation to pay cash. It is opposite of prepaid expenses. Prepaid expenses, what we have done is we have paid for services in advance. But for deferred revenue, it is on the other hand, the person who is servicing or who is supplying services or goods, they have received in advance. So it's a deferred revenue. There is no obligation to return the cash. There is an obligation to provide the services or the product. So it's not a financial instrument. It's not a financial liability. I hope this is clear. So moving on to the next slide, contractual. There is a case study. We have to look on the same. Contractual obligation to deliver cash or financial assets के ऊपर ही case study है. ABC Limited, a high-profile company, has a strong history of dividend. The subscriber of these shares expect the regular dividend payout, and it is highly probable that the company will pay the dividend on regular basis. Whether the payment of dividend is a financial liability, The response is no. There is no contractual obligation on ABC Limited to pay cash or any other financial asset. Thus, the payment of dividend is not a financial liability. So, the principle that is emerging out of this case study is that asset and liability classification shall be based on contractual obligation. It has to be based upon the contractual obligation and rights and obligations. There could be certain other aspects like probability of outflow or constructive obligation due to market expectation, which are ignored, totally ignored. Since in this case there is highly probable that the company will pay dividend, but still it is not a financial liability unless and until it is being declared in the AGM. Then only it becomes a liability. So there is no contractual obligation. Since there is no contract between the shareholders and the entity that the company will definitely pay dividend, so it's not, the payment of dividend is not a financial liability, right? The next one is, this next slide is relating to equity instruments. So what is an equity instruments? Equity instruments क्या होता है? Can anybody tell me in layman language what is equity instruments? Right. So equity instruments are the instruments that give a, that is a contract that evidences a residual interest in the assets of an entity. Matlab, basically to pay off all the outside liabilities, and whatever is the residual amount that is left, residual interest that is left in the entity, that belongs to the equity shareholders. So equity instrument is a contract that evidences a residual interest in the assets of an entity after deducting all of its liabilities. आपने सारी आउटसाइड लाइबिलिटीज पे कर दी, उसके बाद जो भी बच गया that is the interest of the equity. Okay, इसके एग्जांपल क्या क्या हो सकते हैं? That is equity shares. Preference share could also be classified as equity in Ind AS or IFRS if certain criteria are met. In IGAP, this is strictly a liability or a share capital, but it does not have any right on the residual interest. So for the purpose of equity, it is liability only. But in Ind AS or IFRS, this could be equity also based upon certain criteria. Then warrants, these are also equity shares, equity instruments. Then written call options to issue fixed number of equity shares for a fixed price. So this has to be clearly noted when there is a fixed to fixed contract, fixed number of equity shares for a fixed price. So if there is a written call option to issue fixed number of equity shares for a fixed price, then it is also an example of equity instrument. So fixed to fixed and fixed to variable are two concepts that we will discuss in detail. अभी तक के लिए सिर्फ इतना आप स्टडी कर लीजिए कि when there are fixed to fixed number of shares to be issued, then it is the concept of equity, right? So there are certain Ind AS which is applicable, or IFRS which is applicable to these instruments. This is not relevant for our purpose. Let us move on to the classification on financial instruments. Financial instruments are of two types: financial assets and financial liabilities. We have just discussed the definition of both. Now, financial assets can be classified in three categories. The first one is the amortized cost, then fair value through other comprehensive income, that is OCI. Sorry. Amortized cost, the first one is amortized cost. Then the second one is fair value through OCI, other comprehensive income. Then fair value through profit and loss account. This is the residual limb. There are certain tests that is required to be passed to be classified as amortized cost or fair value through OCI. If those tests are not cleared, then it is automatically a fair value through profit and loss account. Financial liabilities are classified in two parts. First one is the amortized cost, and then the fair value through profit and loss account. In case of financial liabilities, there is no concept of other comprehensive income. Moving on to the next slide. How do we classify the financial asset? This is very, very important and a very important slide as well. Very important from the exam point of view as well. There are two factors that we need to consider. The first one is the business model, and the second one is the SPPI contractual cash flow test. Right? This one, business model and SPPI contractual cash flow test. What is the business model is? Business model is whether the entity has invested the funds to hold the asset, hold to collect the proceeds of the asset on maturity, or if the asset has been held for trading, or if whether the asset has been held to collect and sell. So there could be three aspects. आपने कोई investments करी, आपने for example if you have invested in an equity shares, तो आपके पास what can be the objective of the investment? That you want to wait for the uh, you have invested it for trading purposes, or you want to hold it for a longer period of time, or you want to uh, hold it for a particular fixed period of time and then sell it. So this could be the factor determining the investments. आपने कौन से ऑब्जेक्टिव के लिए इन्वेस्टमेंट करी है. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं अभी तो मैंने इक्विटी का एग्जांपल लिया, विल स्टार्ट विद डेट. पहले मैं डेट का एग्जांपल लेता हूं. इफ यू हैव इन्वेस्टेड इन अ 10 ईयर डिवेंचर, आपने 10 ईयर डिवेंचर में इन्वेस्टमेंट करी है, तो आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव कुड द फर्स्ट ऑब्जेक्टिव कुड बी कि आप उसको 10 इयर्स तक होल्ड करें एंड एट द टाइम ऑफ मैच्योरिटी यू रिसीव द मैच्योरिटी सम, और you want to trade for the same. आप उसको ट्रेडिंग पर्पसेस के लिए रखना चाहते हैं. और द थर्ड पर्पस कुड बी you want to hold it till maturity, but if required you want to sell it in between, you can sell it. So this is the business model test. There are three aspects. The first one is the hold to collect till maturity. Second is hold to collect and sell. अगर बीच में कहीं सेल करने की रिक्वायरमेंट आए तो सेल कर दीजिए. Held for trading. If it is held for trading, then it is there are three business model tests. अब second test क्या होता है? SPPI, solely payment for principal and interest. So this is solely payment for principal of interest contractual cash flow test. इसमें क्या होता है? जो भी आपने assets hold कर रखे हैं, उसका purpose क्या है? मतलब उससे आपको cash flow क्या आएगा? अगर आपने debt instruments hold कर रखे हैं till maturity and the purpose of cash flow is solely principal and interest, आपको principal और interest के अलावा कुछ भी नहीं मिलेगा, then it will be classified under the first limb, that is the amortized cost. आपने एसेट टिल मेजोरिटी हेल्ड किया है, मैच्योरिटी हेल्ड किया है, और आपको सिर्फ पेमेंट प्रिंसिपल और इंटरेस्ट की मिलेगी, then it is your SPPI contractual cash flow test is passed, then the asset will be classified as in amortized cost. अगर आपका बिजनेस मॉडल है हेल्ड किया है, हेल्ड टू कलेक्ट टिल मैच्योरिटी एंड सेल, प्लस आपको जो है contractual cash flow test pass हो जाता है, then in that case it will be recognized in as fair value through OCI. आपका SPPI टेस्ट पास हो रहा है फर्स्ट केस और सेकंड केस में. फर्स्ट केस में अगर आप मेच्योरिटी तक हेल्ड करते हैं तो अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट होगा. अगर आप मेच्योरिटी तक हेल्ड करते हैं और ड्यूरिंग द टेन्योर इफ यू वांट टू सेल इट आल्सो, देन इट इज फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू OCI, अदर कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इनकम. अगर आपका फर्स्ट ये कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो टेस्ट पास नहीं होता, then it is fair value through profit and loss account. और अगर आपने ट्रेडिंग के लिए भी कर रखा है, then also it is fair value through profit and loss. अगर आपने ट्रेडिंग पर्पस के लिए कोई एसेट एक्वायर किया है, तो there is no need to see all these things. Straight away आप उसको fair value through profit and loss के लिए ले कर सकते हैं. I hope this is clear. Any doubt in this? This is very, very important. The whole concept is dependent upon this slide. Please, if anyone has any doubt, I'll repeat it for the sake of convenience. Please let me know. Okay, Jatin ji, I am repeating it. So there are two tests basically. The first one is the business model. The second one is SPPI, contractual cash flow. So business model says that when you are acquiring any financial asset, there could be three purposes of the same. The first one is to hold till maturity. The second is the hold till maturity and sell during the tenure. And the third one is the held for trading. तो अगर आपका हेल्ड फॉर ट्रेडिंग है तो देयर इज नो नीड टू चेक एनीथिंग, आप सीधा उसको फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में क्लासिफाई करिए. अगर आपने उसको हेल्ड टिल मैच्योरिटी रखा हुआ है, इफ यू हैव केप्ट इट फॉर हेल्ड टिल मैच्योरिटी, देन आपका अगर यही ऑब्जेक्टिव है, देन यू हैव टू अंडरगो द सेकंड टेस्ट, दैट इज सोनली पेमेंट फॉर प्रिंसिपल एंड इंटरेस्ट, कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो टेस्ट. दैट इज अगर आपको सिर्फ प्रिंसिपल और इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा है तो आप उसको अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट पे लेके जाइए. अगर आपने होल्ड टू कलेक्ट एंड सेल ऑप्शन ऑप्ट किया है और आपको एसपीपीआई टेस्ट आपका पास हो रहा है तो आप ओसीआई में लेके जाइए. अगर आपका एसपीपीआई टेस्ट पास नहीं हो रहा तो आपका रेजिडुअल कैटेगरी में आप फॉल करेंगे, आप उसको डायरेक्ट फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में लेके जाएंगे. क्लियर? आगे चलते हैं. अगर कुछ क्लियर नहीं होगा तो विल कम बैक ऑन दिस. वी हैव few more slides on this in detail. This is the overview of financial assets, classification of financial assets. We'll discuss it in for debt as well as and for equity instruments. उससे पहले समझते हैं what is the financial what is the amortized cost. What is the amortized cost? Amortized cost is a basically the formula for amortized cost is the fair value or the transaction value as on the date of transaction. Then you less the principal repayment during the tenure. I'll repeat the same, the fair value of equity once in a while after 2 minutes. So amortized cost is initial recognition less the principal repayment and add or less the cumulative EIR. EIR is the effective interest rate method. It is used to calculate the amortized cost of a financial asset or a financial liability as well as allocation and recognition of interest, revenue and expense in the income statement. इसका अभी हम example देखते हैं EIR cost का, EIR method कैसे होता है. Then you will come to know about this EIR. Less any impairment or provision for uncollectability. So this is the formula for the same. आप इनिशियल रिकॉग्निशन जो आपकी ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट है उसमें से अगर कोई प्रिंसिपल रीपेमेंट आपने कर दी है वो लेस कर दीजिए, क्यूमुलेटिव ईआईआर ऐड कर दीजिए, ऐड लेस जो भी करना है, देन इम्पेयरमेंट लेस कर दीजिए, यू विल अराइव एट द अमोर्टाइज्ड कॉस्ट. So debt instruments are normally classified as amortized cost provided they are held for maturity, held till maturity, and they meet the SPPI test as well. Then there is a concept of transaction cost. Transaction costs are incremental costs that are directly attributable to the acquisition or issue of any financial assets or liability. Okay. So financial asset, if they are classified subsequently measured at amortized cost, if it meets both the tests, the first one is hold to collect. As I told you, objective is to hold the financial assets in order to collect contractual cash flows, and SPPI contractual cash flow characteristic test, that is contractual terms give rise to cash flows that are solely payment for principal and interest. SPPI, the name suggests solely payment for principal and interest on the principal amount outstanding. अगर आपको मेच्योरिटी पे यही अमाउंट मिलना है, then these both the conditions are satisfied. If both the conditions are satisfied, then financial assets are classified as amortized costs at initial recognition as well as on subsequent measurement. Right? इसके example क्या क्या हो सकते हैं? Trade receivables, it is the example, and they are accounted for at amortized cost. Investment in government bonds not held for trading. अगर held for trading होगा तो direct fair value to profit and loss account हो जाएगा. Investments on term deposits at standard interest rate. Loan receivable with basic features. अगर कोई complex nature का नहीं है, then it is it will be classified at amortized cost. Then equity instruments can never be classified at amortized cost. Equity instrument can never be classified at amortized cost. Can anyone give me the reason for the same? Because in this case the SPPI test is not met. There is no contractual guarantee that the entity will receive back the amount invested in equity shares, or there is no contractual cash flows that the entity will receive payment of principal or any interest on the same after a specified period. So equity instruments are not covered in they failed the SPPI test and are covered in the residual category. So they are always they can never be classified as amortized cost, right? एक केस स्टडी कर लेते हैं amortized cost की. Right. So this is an entity purchase a debt instrument for $1,000. The instrument pays interest of $60 annually and had 10 years to maturity when purchased. The entity intends to hold the asset to collect the contractual cash flows. This is the situation one. Please give your response whether this is classified at amortized cost or not. So the objective is to hold the asset to collect the contractual cash flows and not to sell the asset. And does the debt instrument would meet the hold to collect business model test. So hold to collect business model test is met, and the entity will receive only the principal as well as the interest, only payment for principal and interest. Then these criteria are met, both the tests are fulfilled, then this will be classified as amortized cost. In situation 2, what has happened is it is in continuation of situation 1 only. The entity intends to hold the asset to collect the contractual cash flows, but after 9 years have passed, and entity is suffering a liquidity crisis and needs to sell the asset to raise funds. So what has happened is after 9 years the entity requires funds, so they decided to dispose of the asset or dispose of the debt instrument. What will be the classification for the same? The sale was not expected on initial classification and does not affect the classification, as that is there is no retrospective reclassification. अब 9 साल के बाद आप कुछ कर रहे हो तो there could not be any retrospective reclassification. The debt instrument would still meet the hold to collect business model test. That instrument will still meet this business model test, and it will be classified at amortized cost only, right? And but now let us move to the concept of OCI, other comprehensive income. Other comprehensive income comprises items of income and expense that are not recognized in profit and loss or as required or permitted by any other Ind AS. But there are certain examples in this. This is very exhaustive list. OCI items which can be reclassified to profit and loss account in subsequent period. There are two categories of OCI. Those items which can be reclassified to profit and loss account, and those items which cannot be reclassified to profit and loss account in subsequent period. So these are the examples of the OCI items. The first one is the gain or loss on hedge of our net investments, net movement on a cash flow hedge, net gain or loss on fair value of OCI debt securities, exchange differences on translation on foreign operations. So these are the 4 items which can be reclassified to profit and loss account on subsequent period. इसको हम देखेंगे कि कैसे what are the criteria on which based on which these are being reclassified to profit and loss in subsequent period. For example, if I tell you net gain or loss on fair value through OCI debt securities in our second limb, when the asset is held till maturity as well as an intention to sell and SPPI test is passed, so whatever the net gain or loss is there, that will be classified to other comprehensive income, and at the time of disposal of such instruments, whatever gain or loss is there in fair value through OCI, it will be reclassified to profit and loss account. Okay, so these are the examples of OCI items which can be reclassified. There are certain OCI items which can never be reclassified to profit and loss account. The first one is the remeasurement gains or losses on defined benefit plans. जो आप एक्चुअल लॉसेस आप डिटरमिन करते हैं या एक्चुअल गेन आप डिटरमिन करते हैं on defined benefit plans that can never be reclassified to profit and loss account, right? It has to be a defined benefit plan. Defined benefit plan के जो actuarial gains और losses होते हैं सिर्फ उन्हीं को ही reclassify नहीं कर सकते. जो defined contribution plan के gains और losses होते हैं वो already profit and loss में होते हैं, right? Then the second item is revaluation of land and building. अगर land and building का आपने कुछ revaluation किया है, revaluation किसी भी property plant and equipment का किया है आपने, that revaluation gain or loss will gain will be classified at OCI item and it can never be reclassified to profit and loss in subsequent period. Then net loss or gain on fair value through OCI equity securities. What has happened is in equity securities, there is an option that is given for equity securities. There is option given instead of classifying all gains or losses to profit and loss account, the entity chooses for a particular equity instrument that the gain or losses will be classified to other comprehensive income. To reduce the impact on profit, they can transfer the loss or gain to other comprehensive income. But once you have chosen this option in the this gain or loss can never be reclassified to profit and loss account in subsequent period. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि आज हमने एक particular equity instrument का gain और loss को हमने OCI में ले गए and after 2 years I want to reclassify the gain to profit and loss account. It can never be done like this. आपने एक ये presumption एक बारी life में लेंगे particular asset से related, उसको आप revisit नहीं कर सकते. This option is not there. करंट टैक्स एंड डेफर्ड टैक्स इन सबसे रिलेटेड आइटम से जो भी 4+3 आइटम्स हैं इनसे रिलेटेड करंट टैक्स और डेफर्ड टैक्स आइटम जो है वो ओसीआई में ही रिकॉग्नाइज होंगी, नॉट इन दी प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, राइट? So now we will discuss the fair value OCI debt instruments in detail. We have discussed till amortized cost only. Jitin ji is saying fair value through OCI equity, please repeat. जितन जी अभी आएगा उसमें हम करेंगे, अभी हम डेट पे फोकस कर रहे हैं, इक्विटी वाला पूरा पोर्शन आएगा, देन विल डिस्कस दैट सेम. अगर नहीं आएगा तो मैं एक्सप्लेन कर दूंगा बिफोर द क्लास एंड्स. So financial asset is measured at fair value through OCI if it meets both the following criteria. The objective is, the business model test is to hold, to collect and sell. मतलब the objective is achieved by both holding the financial assets in order to collect contractual cash flow and selling the financial assets. That means the intention of the entity is they can hold the asset till maturity, and if required they want to sell it. If intended at the initial time only, they can sell it also, so that to maximize the sale proceeds. आपने कोई भी डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट परचेज किया, आपने कहा कि 10 years का उसका पीरियड है, बट व्हाट विल आई डू, आई विल होल्ड टिल मैच्योरिटी एंड इफ आई गेट द गुड प्राइस आई कैन आल्सो सेल द सेम. So this is hold to collect and sell business model test which you have passed, and if the SPPI contractual cash flow characteristic test is also passed, that is on the principal amount you are receiving the interest only, then these kind of instruments will be classified as fair value through OCI. The intention of the entity is to sell the instrument before the investment matures. So the intention matters in this case. The entity has an intention. Whether the investment is sold or not is not important. Everything is dependent upon this intention criteria. The entity has an intention. The board has decided to sell this investment before the maturity. And in such cases, it will be classified as fair value through OCI. इसके एग्जाम्पल क्या क्या हो सकते हैं? इन्वेस्टमेंट इन गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड वेयर द इन्वेस्टमेंट पीरियड इज लाइकली टू बी शॉर्टर देन मैच्योरिटी. आपने किसी गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड में इन्वेस्टमेंट करी है, बट आप पहले से ही प्री डिसाइडेड हैं कि आप शॉर्टर पीरियड के लिए इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हैं, after a particular period you will dispose it off. Investment in corporate bonds the same है. Basically आप maturity तक उसको, intention is not to hold it till maturity, right? You want to sell it before the maturity period, and SPPI test is met, then it will be classified as fair value through OCI, right? This is only relating to debt instruments, not for equity. पहला क्राइटेरिया, पहला लिम्ब हमने चेक किया था डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स का अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट में, वेयर देयर इज अ intention to hold till maturity and SPPI test is met, then it will be classified at amortized cost. The second limb is where hold to collect, the business model test is to hold to collect and sell, and SPPI test is met, then the same will be classified as fair value through OCI. और इससे पिछली स्लाइड में हमने चेक किया था कि फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू OCI होने के बाद आप उसको subsequently you can reclassify to profit and loss account. This one, this can be reclassified to profit and loss account in subsequent period. Net loss or gain on fair value through OCI debt securities, जो हम second limb में study कर रहे हैं, fair value through OCI, if the business model test is to hold and collect and SPPI conditions are met, then it is fair value through OCI. But at the time or subsequently, these can be reclassified to profit and loss account on disposal of that particular asset. Whereas this option is not available in case of fair value through OCI equity share. Right, moving on to the next slide. There is a case study in this. Entity has surplus funds of 10 million. A has not yet found suitable investment opportunity, so it buys a medium dated 3-year maturity, high quality government bonds in order to generate interest income. If a suitable investment opportunity arises before the maturity date, the entity will sell the bonds and use the proceeds for the acquisition of business operation. It is likely that a suitable business opportunity will be found before maturity. So you please tell me whether the first test is met by the same or not. So in this case, you will see that the government bond would not meet the held to collect business model test because it is considered likely that the bond will be sold before the contractual maturity. So it will be held to collect and sell business model test. So second limb will be fulfilled, and since the SPPI model is also assumed to be fulfilled in this, it will be classified as fair value through OCI. Entity has the intention to sell it before maturity, and there is highly probable situation that entity will sell the same, and then this will be used for the alternate business opportunities, right? So the test will be met and it will be classified as fair value through OCI. अब इसकी accounting कैसे करनी है? Let us see the accounting part as well. For debt instrument classified as fair value through OCI, accounting requirements are as follows. Interest income जो भी आप receive करेंगे, that will be recognized in the profit and loss account using the effective interest rate method. Credit impairment or losses, if any, it will be classified in profit and loss. Other changes in the carrying amount or remeasurement of fair value, तो वो तो name से ही suggest हो रहा है that it is fair value through OCI. So basically it will be recognized in OCI. जो भी fair value में changes होंगे assets की, that will be recognized in other comprehensive income. Then if there is any at the time when the asset is de-recognized, cumulative fair gain or loss recognized in OCI is recycled to profit and loss. जब भी asset को de-recognition करेंगे हम, in that case it will be recycled to profit and loss account, right? तो पहला बड़ा सिंपल है, इंटरेस्ट को प्रिंसिपल जैसे इंटरेस्ट होता है आप P&L में अकाउंट फॉर करते हैं वैसे करिएगा. Impairment होगी सीधा P&L में जाएगी. The third one is other changes in the carrying amount on remeasurement to fair value will be recognized in OCI. And if at the time of derecognition whatever cumulative gain, इसको note करिएगा, current year का नहीं, cumulative का, whatever cumulative gain or loss is there, it will be recycled to profit and loss account, right? For debt instruments that are classified as fair value through OCI, entity will need to track. अच्छा, इसमें एक practical aspect है कि जो आप OCI में डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स को लेके जाएंगे उसमें आपको अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट की भी ट्रैकिंग करनी पड़ेगी और OCI फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू OCI भी करनी पड़ेगी. वो हम देखेंगे कि इसके क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, क्यों जरूरत पड़ती है इसकी. Now, the fair value through OCI equity instruments. Equity instruments जो है मैं आपको पहले बता रहा था कि there is an option in case of equity instruments. The first thing is very clear. It can never be at amortized cost. Amortized cost पे equity instruments की accounting कभी नहीं हो सकती. It has to be either fair value through profit and loss account or fair value through OCI. Normally, equity instruments are classified as fair value through profit and loss account. This is the default approach. The default approach is Ind AS 109 or IFRS 9 requires all equity instruments to be measured at fair value, right? All changes in fair value to be recognized in profit and loss account. जितने भी changes हैं fair value में, that will be recognized in profit and loss account. But there is an exception. There is a new category, that is new fair value OCI category option, in which equity instruments which are not held for trading, the entities can make a irrevocable election at the initial recognition to classify the instruments as at fair value through OCI. So what is this option is कि आपका पहले क्या हो रहा था कि आपने इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स परचेज कर रखे हैं, देयर आर हाईली वॉलेटाइल एंड देयर आर ह्यूज फेयर वैल्यू चेंजेस. एक साल में शेयर के प्राइस की वैल्यू बहुत डाउन जा रही है, नेक्स्ट ईयर बहुत अप जा रही है. तो व्हाट वर इज डूइंग, दे आर डिस्टॉर्टिंग दी माय पोजीशन ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस. सो व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इज now the company has been given an option कि आपको एक irrevocable election करना है इनिशियल टाइम पे, आपको आइडेंटिफाई कर लेना है these are the investments जिनको हम fair value through OCI करें. And this option is available instrument by instrument basis, item by item wise basis. मतलब आप particular entity के shares जो हैं entity X के आप कह सकते हैं कि मैं इसको fair value through OCI consider करूंगा और entity Y के equity shares को fair value through P&L करूंगा. You can decide it by instrument basis, and whatever changes will be there, any changes in fair value will be recognized in other comprehensive income. So this will not distort your profit and loss figure. आपके profit and loss को impact नहीं करेगा. This will directly be adjusted in OCI, other comprehensive income, which is part of my equity only, but नॉट माई प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट. आपके ईपीएस को इम्पैक्ट नहीं करेगा, आपके प्रॉफिट की फिगर को इम्पैक्ट नहीं करेगा, आपके डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेबल प्रॉफिट्स की फिगर को इम्पैक्ट नहीं करेगा. बट दिस ऑप्शन इज एन इररिवोकेबल इलेक्शन है. एक बार आपने चूज कर लिया तो चूज कर लिया, ऐसा नहीं है नेक्स्ट ईयर आपने कहा नहीं मैं इसको चेंज कर रहा हूँ इस ऑप्शन को एंड आई एम चेंजिंग इट टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट. दिस इज नॉट पॉसिबल, राइट? सो दिस विल हेल्प यू present your profit and loss in a much better manner, जहाँ पे आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट जो है वो वॉलेटाइल है बहुत ज्यादा, जिनके शेयर प्राइसेस में मूवमेंट बहुत ज्यादा हो रही है, जिनकी फेयर वैल्यू चेंजेस बहुत ज्यादा हैं. बट इसका एक चीज आप ध्यान रखिएगा, these equity investments should not be held for trading. आपके ट्रेडिंग पर्पस के लिए नहीं होने चाहिए. अगर ट्रेडिंग पर्पस के लिए है तो there is no option, it will be directly to profit and loss account. आपने ट्रेडिंग के लिए कोई इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स परचेज कर रखे हैं, that will be directly fair value changes will be directly classified to profit and loss account. There is no option of OCI, right? चलिए, next is the dividend received on equity instruments to be recognized in profit and loss account. Equity instruments कोई सा भी हो, whether it is OCI, profit and loss account उन दोनों से रिलेटेड जितना भी डिविडेंड अर्न होगा दैट विल बी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड इन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट ओनली। ओके, अगर आपका फेयर वैल्यू चेंजेस पी एंड ओसीआई में भी आ रहा है देन आल्सो डिविडेंड इज इन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट। जैसा हमने डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स में भी देखा था, फेयर वैल्यू चेंजेस जो है वो आपके ओसीआई में आ रहे थे, फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स में, बट उनसे रिलेटेड इंटरेस्ट इनकम वाज क्रेडिटेड टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट, राइट? Under this category on disposal, this is a new option that we have discussed, fair value through OCI. This was not there in the previous standards. India's जो IAS 39 में था, this got changed in 2003. उससे पहले नहीं था. Under this category on disposal, cumulative changes in fair value will remain in OCI and not recycled to profit and loss account. ये मैंने अभी पहले भी बताया था, मैं again explain कर देता हूँ कि अगर आपका फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स हैं तो उनके डी रिकॉग्निशन पे जितना भी क्यूमुलेटिव एक्सचेंज गेन लॉस था दैट विल बी रिसाइकिल टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट। बट ओसीआई के केस में, फॉर इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट के केस में, व्हाटएवर क्यूमुलेटिव चेंज इन फेयर वैल्यू है दैट विल रिमेन इन ओसीआई, वो अदर कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इनकम में ही रह जाएगा, इक्विटी का पार्ट रह जाएगा, बट इट विल नॉट बी रिसाइकिल टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट। Entities have the option to transfer amount between reserves within equity. आप फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई से हटा के उसको रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स में ट्रांसफर करना चाहते हैं या किसी और रिजर्व्स में ट्रांसफर करना चाहते हैं, दैट इज अप टू यू, यू कैन डू इट, यू हैव द ऑप्शन, बट यू कैन नॉट रिसाइकल इट टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट। ओके, so this is very very important from exam point of view as well as for practical life कि इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स को आपने एक बारी आपने ऑप्शन चूज कर लिया फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई का, देन इट देयर cumulative exchange gain of cumulative changes in fair value can never be recycled to profit and loss. I hope this is clear। और previous question जो आया था chat box में उसका भी reply मिल गया होगा, I hope। जतिन जी, I think it is clear। Okay, so moving on to the next slide, the next one is the fair value through profit and loss account. This is the residual category in India's 109 or IFRS 9. Financial assets classified and measured is, it could be a financial held for trading financial assets, कोई भी held for trading financial asset है आपका तो the fair value has to be reflected in the profit and loss account। जो भी changes होंगे it will be transferred to fair value to profit and loss account only। A debt instrument that does not qualify to be measured at fair value through OCI as amortized cost or fair value through OCI, कोई example दे सकते हैं सर इसका? अभी हमने बहुत डिटेल में किया कि amortized cost और fair value through OCI में कौन से ऐसे हैं जो इस कैटेगरी में फॉल करेंगे। कोई एक एग्जांपल दीजिए व्हिच विल नॉट फॉल इन द कैटेगरी ऑफ अमोर्टाइज्ड कॉस्ट ऑफ फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई। जहां पर भी आपका एसपीपीआई टेस्ट जो है वो फेल हो जाएगा वहां पर ये सारे के सारे डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स विल बी क्लासिफाइड टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस। एसपीपीआई टेस्ट कहां फेल हो सकता है? जहां पे आपका प्रिंसिपल के अलावा आपको मैच्योरिटी पे कुछ एक्स्ट्रा अमाउंट मिल रहा हो अपार्ट फ्रॉम इंटरेस्ट एंड प्रिंसिपल। वो कब मिल सकता है? जब आपका कोई भी डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट विच इज लिंक्ड टू सम इंडेक्स और सम एनी अदर फैक्टर विच इज रिलेटेड, विच इज नॉट फिक्स, विच इज वेरिएबल। फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपका आपने डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट लिया, उसके डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स का जो रिटर्न है दैट इज लिंक टू द इंडेक्स ऑफ सेंसेक्स और मूवमेंट ऑफ सेंसेक्स। In that case, the SPPI test will fail, and that instrument will not be classified as amortized cost of fair value through OCI. It will be classified as fair value through profit and loss. Clear? Similarly, is the third case. Third case is relating to an equity instrument which has in which the entity has not elected to classify as at fair value through OCI. Sorry. So in that is also a case of profit and loss account, जिसमें आपने ऑप्शन ही सेलेक्ट नहीं करा तो बाय डिफॉल्ट ही प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में आपकी अकाउंटिंग होगी। Held for trading की क्या definition है sir? Held for trading means the financial assets and liabilities are required for the purpose of sale or repurchase in the near term or short term profit. Example of financial asset classified and accounted for at fair value. Example कौन से हो सकते हैं? It could be interest rate swap, it could be commodity future option contract, foreign exchange future option contract, investment in shares that the entity has not elected to account for fair value. कोई भी equity shares हो सकते हैं. Contingent consideration, ये देखिए सर, contingent consideration will study that what is this contingent consideration in our evening session today. It is the part of India's 103 business combinations. कोई भी contingent consideration when it is receivable from a sale of a business, it is always classified as fair value through profit and loss. Contingent consideration क्या होता है? आपने कोई asset जो है वो sale किया with a condition that a payment will be made after 2 years or 3 years based upon the performance of the entity or performance of a particular segment or based upon any other factor like sale, profit or any other factor of that particular segment or an undertaking. आपको उसके बदले में 3 साल के बाद कुछ पेमेंट मिलेगी. तो जो वो कंसिडरेशन है that is the contingent consideration. उस contingent consideration को आपको every year you have to fair value it and it will be classified as fair value to profit and loss, right? fair value कैसे करना है, present value कैसे determine करनी है, that will discuss in the evening session. वो हमारे परवीन सर हैं, वो बताएंगे. Under IFRS 9, consideration is first given to whether a financial asset is to be measured at amortized cost of fair value assets, and if it is not, it will be measured at fair value to profit and loss account. जैसे कि मैंने पहले भी बताया, fair value to profit and loss एक रेजिडुअल कैटेगरी है. पहले आप देखिए अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट में फिट होता है या नहीं होता. डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट है तो अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट में फिट होगा ही नहीं. डेट इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट है तो अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट में फिट होगा ही नहीं. इक्विटी के दो ही लिम्स हैं, फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई और फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस. फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस इज द डिफॉल्ट अप्रोच फॉर इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स. लेकिन अगर आपने कुछ ऐसे इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स हेल्ड कर रखे हैं विच इज नॉट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ट्रेडिंग and you want to elect the option to fair value through OCI, तो आप उसको fair value through OCI करेंगे, remaining सारा fair value through profit and loss. जो आपने debt instruments में investments कर रखी हैं, debt instruments में आपको दो टेस्ट चेक करने हैं. The first one is the business model test, the other one is the SPPI test. Business model test कहता है कि assets को आपने held करना है till maturity. The entity has the intention to hold the asset till maturity, and the return will be solely principal and interest. Then in that case it will be classified as amortized cost. अगर आपको investments को held करना है for till maturity and you can the intention is to sell before maturity as well, plus SPPI test is met, then it is fair value through OCI. If both the criteria, if any of the criteria is not met in both the limbs, then it will be straight away profit and loss, fair value to profit and loss account. Okay. Let us see a case study on this. Entity B owns 5 retail chains. If sold one of the retail entities, it sold one of the retail entities to entity C. Entity B के 5 retail chains हैं. They have sold one of the retail chain to entity C. As part of purchase consideration, entity B is entitled to additional consideration of INR 3 million if the retail chain meets certain profit targets over the next 3 years. This is relating to contingent consideration, case study relating to contingent consideration. आप एंटिटी बी ने 5 में से एक स्टोर जो है वो एंटिटी सी को सेल कर दिया और 3 साल बाद अगर कुछ प्रॉफिट टारगेट्स मीट होंगे तो 30 मिलियन जो 3 मिलियन अमाउंट जो है वो मिल जाएगा एंटिटी बी को. नाउ हाउ शुड एंटिटी बी क्लासिफाई द कंसिडरेशन रिसीवेबल? The terms of the contingent consideration receivable fails the HPBI cash flow characteristic test because the payment is linked to future profitability of the retail chain which has been sold. Contingent consideration है, पहले ही हमने discuss कर लिया. It is always measured at fair value to profit and loss account, which is dependent upon certain events that may or may not happen. Contingent है, तो there is SPPI test तो fail होगा ही होगा. In that case हमेशा ही fail होगा. In that case, it will be fair value through profit or loss. तो जो ये 3 मिलियन है उसको प्रेजेंट वैल्यू डिटरमिन करने के बाद फेयर वैल्यू डिटरमिन करने की, पहले फेयर वैल्यू डिटरमिन होगी इसकी, फिर उसकी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू डिटरमिन होगी, एंड दैट विल बी classified as measured at fair value through profit and loss. Okay. ये अब तक का सिनॉप्सिस है जो हमने स्टडी किया है। एक बार फिर से अभी तक जो भी हमने 1.5 घंटा जो भी डिस्कशन किया है, दिस इज द सिनॉप्सिस ऑफ द सेम। डेट है अगर इवन दी हाइब्रिड इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, अगर कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो टेस्ट जो है वो मीट हो जाता है, इफ इट इज पास्ड, देन वी नीड टू चेक फॉर द बिजनेस मॉडल। बिजनेस मॉडल टेस्ट पास हो जाता है, होल्ड टू कलेक्ट कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लोज टेस्ट पास हो जाता है बिजनेस मॉडल का। सॉरी, एक सेकंड। राइट, so contractual cash flow test pass हो जाता है, there is no conditional fair value option elected, then it is amortized cost. अगर second is the business model with objective that results in collecting contractual cash flows and selling fixed assets, this option is not there, ये आप बता दीजिए। इसको मैं थोड़ा सा रिवाइज करूंगा चार्ट को, मैं एक बार एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूं पूरा। इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स हैं, कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो टेस्ट जो है वो तो हमेशा फेल होगा ही होगा, ये देखिए। इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स में कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो टेस्ट तो हमेशा ही फेल होगा। So if we have to see whether it is held for trading, if yes, then it will be fair value through OCI. If no, and the entity has selected the option for fair value through OCI, then it is fair value through OCI. Otherwise, if it is not, if they have not elected this option, then it is fair value through profit and loss. Derivatives के केस में it is always through profit and loss account. Derivative में कोई contractual cash flow test जो है वो पास नहीं होता, it is always fair value through profit and loss account. डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के केस में कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो टेस्ट फेल हो गया, इट इज ऑलवेज प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट। अगर आपका कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो टेस्ट पास हो गया और बिजनेस मॉडल टेस्ट पास हो गया, देन इट इज अमोर्टाइज्ड कॉस्ट। अगर बिजनेस मॉडल आपका बिजनेस मॉडल इज टू होल्ड और कलेक्ट, होल्ड एंड सेल, एंड इन दैट केस इट इज फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई विद रिसाइकलिंग ऑप्शन। राइट, कोई डाउट इसमें अभी तक? Any doubt till now? Okay, moving ahead. अभी तक हमने देखो जो भी डिस्कस किया, दैट इज द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स ओनली। नाउ विल डिस्कस द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटीज। फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटीज में there are only two limbs. The first one is the amortized cost and the second one is the fair value through profit and loss account. Financial liabilities में there is no concept of fair value through OCI. अब amortized cost is the default category. आपके जितने भी financial liabilities हैं उसकी default category जो है वो है amortized cost. और fair value through profit and loss is the residual category. In this, the entity elects the option. If they have the option using the fair value, then it is this. और अगर trading के लिए कर रखा है तो profit and loss में जाएगा. Otherwise, the default category is amortized cost. Financial liabilities have been classified in two categories: fair value through profit and loss. Financial liabilities that are held for the purpose of trading, including derivatives, is classified as fair value through profit and loss account. चाहे derivatives किसी भी फॉर्म में हो, इंटरेस्ट रेट स्वैप हो, किसी भी तरीके के हो, commodity future option contract, then that will be classified as fair value through profit and loss account. Financial liabilities that are designated as fair value through profit and loss account, the entity on by the entity on initial recognition. कुछ ऐसी financial liabilities which are being designated as fair value through profit and loss account, that will also be classified as this. Contingent consideration recognized by an acquirer in a business combination. जो आपने contingent consideration pay करनी है, that is also fair value through profit and loss account. जैसे हमने contingent consideration receivable का example किया था, that is recognized as fair value through profit and loss account. उसके opposite contingent consideration which is payable by an acquirer in a business combination is fair value through profit and loss account. Amortized cost में all liabilities not in the above category is the amortized cost. For example, trade payable, bank borrowing, ये सब हम EIR जो भी EIR accounting होगी जिसमें भी वहाँ सब में amortized cost है, right? Initial recognition देख रहे हैं एक मिनट. Initial recognition and measurement criteria. Let us study this. An entity shall recognize a financial asset or a financial liability in its statement of financial position when and only when the entity becomes party to the contractual provision of the instrument. This is quite obvious. जब आप contract में enter कोई भी contract enter करेंगे, only then it is required to recognize the same. When an entity first recognize a financial asset, it must be classified. ये हमने 3 category हमने study कर ली है. On initial measurement, financial liabilities are measured at fair value, right? If the financial assets or financial liabilities are not recognized at fair value, transaction costs that are directly attributable to the acquisition or issue of the financial assets or financial liabilities are adjusted against the fair value. अगर fair value पे accounting नहीं हुई है initial recognition पे, या transaction that is not fair value, आपने कोई loan लिया, किसी related party को loan दिया, which is उसके साथ आपने जो rate of interest है that is different, which is not as per the company's norms or not as per the arm's length price. In that case, that transaction is not at fair value. उस loan के amount को भी fair value पे recognize करना पड़ेगा. For example, आपने 100 करोड़ का लोन दिया, डेट फ्री लोन था, इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन था फॉर अ पीरियड ऑफ 5 years. सो इनिशियल रिकॉग्निशन पे ही आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा कि उस लोन का अमाउंट जो है दैट इज नॉट 100 करोड़, उसको आपको प्रेजेंट वैल्यू पे डिस्काउंट करना पड़ेगा जो भी मार्केट प्रिवेलिंग रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है. और सपोज कीजिए कि आप उसकी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू जो है वो 80 करोड़ रुपीज आ रही है, बिकॉज यू विल गेट 100 करोड़ आफ्टर 5 years. तो फेयर वैल्यू इज 80 करोड़. तो इनिशियल रिकॉग्निशन फेयर वैल्यू पे ही होगा. अगर फेयर वैल्यू पे नहीं होता तो कोई भी ऐसी ट्रांजैक्शन है तो उसमें फाइनेंशियल एसेट और फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटी आर एडजस्टेड टू मेक इट एट द फेयर वैल्यू, राइट? Transaction costs are incremental costs that are directly attributable to the acquisition, issue or disposal of a financial instrument. Example जो है वो क्या हो सकते हैं? It could be fees and commission to agents for debt, or it could be levies by regulatory agencies, transfer taxes, duties, credit assessment fees, registration fees. और जो cost आपके transaction cost का part नहीं है वो है debt premium, financing cost, internal administration cost, holding cost of financial instrument. Debt premium और जो discount है that is not the transaction cost. It is the basically the cost of the contract only, but not the transaction cost. आपने कोई debt instrument issue किया है, उस पे आप premium issue करें, premium pay करेंगे at the time of maturity. So that is the contractual cost only, not the transaction cost. These are all example of transaction cost. These are not the example. अब ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट को एडजस्ट कैसे करना है देखिए. एन एंटिटी केस स्टडी देखते हैं इसका. एन एंटिटी परचेजेस अ फाइनेंशियल एसेट फॉर 1000. ओके, ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट इज ऑफ $20 वर इनकर्ड ऑन द परचेज ऑफ द सेम. एट व्हाट वैल्यू द कंपनी शुड रिकॉग्नाइज सच फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स? सो इफ द एंटिटी इज if the asset is classified as amortized cost or fair value through OCI, then such financial asset is initially measured at 1020. तो आपने उसमें क्या किया, ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट को ऐड कर दिया. But if the asset is classified as fair value through profit and loss account, then such financial asset is initially measured at 1000 and 20 will be the transaction cost. अगर आप fair value through profit and loss accounting करते हैं तो the transaction costs are expense to profit and loss account. $20 जो है वो profit and loss में immediately expense off हो जाएगा. Rather than if you are accounting at amortized cost or fair value through OCI, in that case it will be initially measured at 1020. क्योंकि मैंने जब आपको ये amortized cost का एग्जांपल फॉर्मूला पढ़ाया था तो उसमें amortized cost प्लस में ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट करी थी, लेकिन जब हम इक्विटी अकाउंटिंग करते हैं तो ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट इज इमीडिएटली अकाउंट एक्सपेंस ऑफ, राइट. इसमें कोई बेटर वे नहीं है. बेटर वे सोनम जी, देयर इज नो बेटर वे. अगर आप अकाउंटिंग जिस बेसिस पे कर रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल आप डेट की अकाउंटिंग कर रहे हैं एट अमोर्टाइज्ड कॉस्ट, तो इनिशियल मेजरमेंट में आपको ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट इंक्लूड करनी ही पड़ेगी. इट विल नॉट बी थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस. एक्चुअली में क्या होगा, जब आप इनिशियल मेजरमेंट 1020 पे करेंगे, so whatever cost that you have additionally incurred, that will be recognized in profit and loss over a period of time. But अगर आप fair value through profit and loss करेंगे तो at in the year of transaction only it will be expense of the profit and loss, right? ऐसा तो है नहीं कि जो $20 की कॉस्ट है ये आपको कहीं से रिकूपमेंट हो जाएगी. अगर आपने कोई भी फाइनेंशियल एसेट परचेज किया, मान लीजिए कोई डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट परचेज किया, उससे रिलेटेड $20 की आपने कॉस्टिंग इनकर करी, तो अब आप अगर अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट पे कर रहे हैं या फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई पे कर रहे हैं तो इनिशियल मेजरमेंट उसकी 1020 पे ही होगी. जब हम ईआईआर अकाउंटिंग करेंगे तो दिस 20 विल बी एक्सपेंस ऑफ ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल एसेट. लेकिन जब आप फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस कर रहे हैं, देन इन दैट केस at year 1 or at the transaction date only that amount is recognized in the profit and loss account. Subsequent measurement की बात करें हम, subsequent measurement जो है financial assets are subsequent measurement, they are being amortized cost. Same तीन कैटेगरी है, तीन लिम्स है, amortized cost है, fair value through OCI, fair value through profit and loss. सब्सिक्वेंट में अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट पे अगर आप चल रहे हो और सब्सिक्वेंटली भी अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट पे ही फॉलो करोगे तो कुछ देयर इज नो रिलेवेंसी. जो प्रिंसिपल आप फॉलो करते आ रहे हैं उसी प्रिंसिपल को आगे फॉलो करते चले जाइए. फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई, फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, इन दोनों कैटेगरी में व्हाटएवर इज द चेंज इन द फेयर वैल्यू इट इज रिकॉग्नाइज्ड इन ओसीआई. अगर ओसीआई से रिलेटेड है तो ओसीआई में जाएगा, अगर प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस से रिलेटेड है तो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में जाएगा. लेकिन एक चीज इसमें ध्यान रखना कि डिविडेंड्स और इंटरेस्ट इनकम, जो कि पहले भी हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, कि डिविडेंड रिलेटेड टू एनी इंस्ट्रूमेंट व्हिच इज बीइंग क्लासिफाइड एट फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू ओसीआई, वो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में जाएगा, ना कि ओसीआई में. डिविडेंड विल बी इन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, इंटरेस्ट विल बी इन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस थ्रू ईआईआर अकाउंटिंग, और फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में तो सब कुछ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में ही जाएगा, राइट. फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटीज में भी सेम है, अमोर्टाइज कॉस्ट पे चलेगी, उसके अलावा कुछ भी बच जाता है तो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में जाता है. सिर्फ एक इसमें एक डिफरेंशिएशन है कि अगर आपका क्रेडिट रिस्क चेंज हो गया है, आपने कोई लोन लायबिलिटी है आपने अकाउंट फॉर कर रखी है एट फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, या कोई लायबिलिटी आपने ऐसी अकाउंट फॉर कर रखी है दैट इज फेयर वैल्यू थ्रू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट फेयर वैल्यू पे, लेकिन आपका अपना क्रेडिट रिस्क ही चेंज हो गया है, तो उससे रिलेटेड जो भी फेयर वैल्यू चेंजेस हैं दैट विल बी थ्रू ओसीआई, अदरवाइज एवरीथिंग विल बी इन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट. लायबिलिटी वर्सेस इक्विटी, लायबिलिटीज वर्सेस इक्विटी जो कंसेप्ट है ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट कंसेप्ट है. इसमें हम लोग स्टडी करेंगे कि हाउ टू वी classify whether a particular instrument is a liability or an equity. I hope everything discussed so far is clear. कुछ ऐसा तो नहीं कि it is going out of the way और कुछ कहीं पे कोई clarification चाहिए तो I can stop, and because liability versus equity is a very different topic. Anyone, any query so far? Okay, so let us move on to this liability versus equity. On issue of financial instruments should be classified as liability or equity in accordance with the substance of the contractual arrangement. ये तो पता ही है सबको कि financial instruments जो है उनकी दो ही फॉर्म हो सकते हैं, whether it is a liability or a equity. फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स तो फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स ही हैं, फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटीज जो है वो फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स के जो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग है, इट कुड बी ईदर फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटी और इक्विटी. Some financial instruments may take the legal form of equity but are in substance liability, and equity instruments in any contract that evidences a residual interest in the assets of an entity after deducting all the liabilities. तो बेसिकली आपको सिर्फ यही माइंड में रखना है कि जहां पे भी रेजिडुअल इंटरेस्ट आएगा, चाहे वो किसी भी वे में आ रहा हो, in that case it is equity instrument, otherwise it is a liability. We have to see कि substance over form क्या है. अगर आपके redeemable preference shares हैं, redeemable preference shares हैं तो primarily it is liability only, but redeemable preference shares हैं उनके ऊपर dividend rate जो है वो that is very very low. So there is some form of equity that is embedded in that is compound financial instruments. उसको हम bifurcate करेंगे. Some portion will be classified as equity and some of the portion will be classified as liability. Moving on to the next slide. A contract is not an equity instrument solely because it may result in the receipt or delivery of entity's own equity instruments. ये हमने पहले भी ये टर्म हमने यूज करी है, सेटलमेंट इन ऑन इक्विटी शेयर्स. So a financial liability will arise when there is a contractual obligation to deliver cash or another financial asset to exchange financial assets or financial liabilities under conditions that are potentially unfavorable to the issuer. अगर potentially unfavorable conditions है, in that case it is a financial liability. इसके अलावा there is a non-derivative contract to deliver or be required to deliver a variable number of own equity instruments. अगर variable number आ जाता है then also it is a liability, it is not equity. अगर मैंने पहले भी कहा था, अगर fixed to fixed है, हमने fixed to fixed decide कर दिया, then it is equity. Otherwise अगर जहां पे भी variable number of equity shares issue होंगे, that is my liability. आपने कोई contract किया in which requires a variable number of shares to be issued at a particular date or a specified date depending upon the factors that are there in the contract, then it is my liability, a financial liability, not my equity, right? There is a derivative that will or may be settled other than by issuing a fixed number of own equity shares. Other than, अगर fixed number of equity shares के अलावा, equity instruments के अलावा कोई भी other than that settlement हो रही है, fixed number of shares के अलावा settlement हो रही है, then that is my financial liability and not my equity. An instrument is an equity if and if only both the conditions are met. The instrument includes no contractual obligation to deliver cash or another financial assets to another entity, to exchange financial assets liability with another entity under conditions that are potentially unfavorable to the issuer. अगर ये दो कंडीशन मीट हो जाती हैं, सॉरी ये फर्स्ट कंडीशन है. Second condition is if the instrument will or may be settled in the issuer own equity instrument, if it is a non-derivative that includes no contractual obligation for the issuer to deliver a variable, that is fixed number of shares अगर issue हो रहे हैं, no variable number of equity issue is involved, then fixed to fixed में it is equity, variable to fixed to variable or variable to fixed it is liability. तो अगर आपकी ये दो कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो रही है, then in that case it is equity, otherwise it is liability. पहली कंडीशन क्या है, रेजिडुअल इंटरेस्ट वाली, और दूसरी होनी चाहिए एक्सचेंज एसेट्स और लायबिलिटीज अंडर अ पोटेंशियली unfavorable condition to the issuer, and there are a non-derivative contract which includes no contractual obligation for issue or deliver a variable number of equity shares, that is fixed number of shares are to be issued. In that case it is a equity contract, otherwise it is a my liability. Anything to be discussed here, anything to be asked here, any doubt? Okay, so moving on to the next slide. This is just the diagrammatic representation of the previous slide that we have discussed. Let us see a case study on this fixed number of shares settlement in own equity instrument. ABC Limited enters into a contract to deliver 5,000 of its own ordinary shares to a third party in settlement of an obligation. Now, since the number of shares is fixed in the contract to meet the obligation, it is an equity instrument. There is no obligation to transfer cash or another financial assets or an equivalent value. Therefore, it is purely a contract of equity instrument, right? Then PQ, second example is PQR Limited enter into a contract which requires to settle a contractual obligation using its own shares in an amount that equals the contractual obligation. Since the number of shares to be issued will vary depending upon the market price of the shares at the date of the contract or settlement, if the contract was agreed at a different date, a different number of shares may be issued. Although cash will not be paid, the equivalent value in shares will be transferred. The contract is a financial liability. Because इसमें क्या हो रहा है सर कि इसमें आपके number of shares जो है ना वो variable है, वो freeze नहीं हो रहे. जहाँ पे number of shares variable हो रहे हैं, so it is a contract. The contract is a financial liability. Very simple. Fixed to fixed में equity shares जो है वो equity कहलाएंगे. Fixed to variable या variable number of shares जहाँ पे issue हो रहे हैं with based upon a market price which is not fixed or which may change the number of shares to be issued. In that case, it is a financial liability. Let us see the third example. XYZ Limited has an option contract to buy gold. If exercised, it will be settled on a net basis in the company share based on the share price as at the date of settlement. Now आप देखिए इसके अंदर क्या आप just study the same and apply your mind whether it will be a financial liability or equity. Don't look at the response, just go through the example and based upon what we have discussed, please study whether it is a financial liability or a equity. Since in this case also the number of shares are variable, it is not fixed. The company has an option to buy gold, and which is a derivative contract. It is a derivative contract and it will be settled as a financial assets or liability. The company will have to issue variable shares, so it is still a financial liability, not equity, right? Therefore, it is still a financial liability. Anything to discuss still here? Any doubts? You can also unmute yourself if anyone wants to have if anyone wants to raise any question relating to anything. निर्मल जी, आपका एक क्वेश्चन है, only revaluation related to land and building cover in OCI or other revaluation of assets shall also be covered. Sir, this was only an example. आप revaluation of all the assets will be covered in this OCI. जब आप impairment का एक index करेंगे tomorrow evening, so that will make things very clear also. Impairment में they will tell you how to account for the revaluation surplus and revaluation loss, and when subsequently there will be impairment, how to account for impairment from this revaluation surplus, and in case of reversal of impairment, how will the same be accounted for? So there will be 3 cases. We will learn through the same. So now moving on to the next topic, that is reclassification from equity to liability. So equities can be reclassified to financial liabilities. It can be based upon if the asset is, if you de-recognize the carrying amount of equity instrument, recognize liability as fair value. Difference between equity and liability shall be recognized as equity. इसका एक एग्जांपल देख लेते हैं, ये एग्जांपल से ही समझ में आएगा. ABC Limited issued perpetual shares of $100. ABC Limited issued perpetual shares of $100 that carry the right to receive discretionary dividends classified as equity. ABC Limited amends the term such that redemption is required in the event of a change of control of the company. Okay, so the fair value of perpetual shares are $120. On reclassification, recognize an adjustment in equity of $20. That is the $100 and the fair value of the perpetual share as on the date of change of the conditions. So when the conditions are changed, equity is being reclassified as financial liability. क्योंकि क्या हुआ कि पहले तो perpetual shares थे, but they have amended the terms and now they have built in the option of redemption in the same. In case there is a change of control, this amount will be redeemed to the holders. And as on the date of the change in conditions, the fair value of such shares were $20. So what has happened is the entity whose shares were issued, they have incurred a loss of $20 as on the date of changing the or amending the terms of the condition, which is recognized as an adjustment in equity upfront. Right? I hope this is clear. Then there is a classification from liability to equity, reclassification. In that case, what are the steps that we need to follow? We need to de-recognize the carrying amount of financial liability, recognize equity instrument, that is the consideration paid at fair value if reliably measurable, or if not reliably measured, then at the fair value of de-recognized liability. Recognize difference in profit and loss account. For example, ABC Limited exchange debt carrying amount $100 for equity, fair value $120. Then in that case, liability will be de-recognized from books of accounts and equity instruments will be recognized of a same amount. Whereas the difference between the fair value of equity and the debt which has been exchanged, 100 million, will be recognized in profit and loss account as on the date of the issue. ए लिमिटेड ने 100 करोड़ का डेट जो है वो इक्विटी में कन्वर्ट करवा लिया. इक्विटी में कन्वर्ट करवाया बेस्ड अपॉन दी नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स जो कि 100 करोड़ के हिसाब से ही डिटरमिन किए गए थे, फिर जिसकी फेयर वैल्यू 120 थी. तो दोनों का जो डिफरेंस था, उन दोनों को डिफरेंस को इमीडिएटली रिकॉग्नाइज कर दिया प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट. राइट? So moving on to the next slide. This is now compound financial instruments. Compound financial instruments में a compound financial instrument has a legal form of a single instrument where the substance is both liability and equity instrument exists. The issuer of a non-derivative financial instrument should evaluate the terms of the financial instrument to determine whether it contains both a liability and an equity instrument. मैं इसका एक एग्जांपल देता हूं, इसका एग्जांपल ही देख लेते हैं. प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स विद डिस्क्रिशनरी डिविडेंड. प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स विद डिस्क्रिशनरी डिविडेंड मींस लायबिलिटी इज प्रिंसिपल रिडम्पशन लायबिलिटी और इक्विटी कंपोनेंट क्या है इसका? डिस्क्रिशनरी डिविडेंड. आप preference shares को dividend is not discretionary, but if you have issued such type of instruments in which preference shares are having a discretionary right to dividend, that in that case it is a compound financial instrument having the features of both liability as well as the equity. The second one could be convertible bonds. Convertible bonds, principal redemption and interest payment liability is the liability part, and the option to convert, the convertibility option given to the holder, is the equity component. So all these are examples of compound financial instruments. इनको कंपाउंड फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स को बाइफरकेट करना पड़ता है, लायबिलिटी कंपोनेंट को लायबिलिटी में अकाउंट फॉर करना पड़ता है और इक्विटी कंपोनेंट को इक्विटी में अकाउंट फॉर करना पड़ता है. Such components are classified separately as financial liabilities, financial assets or equity instruments. I think this is clear. No doubt in this. Please reply in the chat box. Okay. Let me move on to the next slide. How do we do the split accounting of the same for the compound financial instruments? Financial liability part is accounted for as financial liability and equity component is accounted for as equity. Issuer of compound instruments classify the liability and equity components of the compound instrument separately. दोनों की accounting जो है वो different है. जितना आप determine करते हैं it's a financial liability, उसको आप financial liability account for करते हैं, और जितना आप determine करते हैं it is an equity component, उसको equity component account for करते हैं in statement of changes in equity. एक एग्जांपल देख लेते हैं इसकी स्प्लिट अकाउंटिंग कैसे करते हैं. फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ एंटायर कंपाउंड इंस्ट्रूमेंट इज कन्वर्टेबल बॉन्ड ऑफ 100. आप दोनों पार्ट के फेयर वैल्यू डिटरमिन करेंगे कि फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ लायबिलिटी कितनी है और फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ इक्विटी कितनी है. आपने फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ लायबिलिटी डिटरमिन करी फॉर एग्जांपल $60. जो आपने ये $60 अकाउंट फॉर करी, तो रिमेनिंग अमाउंट इज रेजिडुअल इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट, दैट इज द वैल्यू फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ द ऑप्शन जो आपने ऑप्शन होल्डर को दिए हैं, उसकी फेयर वैल्यू जो है दैट इज दी $40 और लायबिलिटी इज $60. सो फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटी विल बी अकाउंटेड फॉर एट 60 एंड 40 विल बी अकाउंटेड फॉर एज इक्विटी. आपने कोई कन्वर्टेबल बॉन्ड इशू किया, उसमें जो लायबिलिटी की वैल्यू डिटरमिन करी दैट इज 60 एंड कन्वर्जन ऑप्शन की वैल्यू है 40. सो लायबिलिटी आपकी बुक्स में 60 ही आएगी और 40 आपकी बुक्स में इक्विटी दिखेगी, whereas you will receive cash for 100 only. आपने 100 रुपए का कन्वर्टेबल बॉन्ड इशू किया, 100 रुपए आपको मिले, 60 रुपीज आपने बुक्स में फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटीज डिस्क्लोज करी एंड 40 विल बी डिस्क्लोज एज द इक्विटी वैल्यू. क्लियर? वे 60 और 40 डिटरमिन कैसे करते हैं, इसके लिए विल हैव अ सेपरेट सेशन ऑन फाइनेंशियल दिस valuation of financial guarantees and financial liabilities, financial assets. एक केस स्टडी देख लेते हैं. कंपनी जे issues 2000 convertible bonds. The bonds have a 3-year term and are issued at par with a face value of 1000 per bond, giving total proceeds of 20 lakhs. Right, 2000 into 1000. Interest is payable annually in arrears at a nominal interest rate of 6%, that is 1,20,000 per annum. Each bond is convertible at any time up to maturity into 250 ordinary shares. Each bond is convertible into 250 ordinary shares. When the bonds are issued, the prevailing market interest rate for similar debt without conversion option is 9% per annum. At the time of issue, जो हमने 6% पे बॉन्ड इशू किया है कन्वर्जन ऑप्शन के साथ, अगर कन्वर्जन ऑप्शन नहीं होती तो ये बॉन्ड would have been issued at 9% per annum. The entity has incurred 1 lakh rupees as the issue cost. So now how will do the accounting? Let us see. अब इसमें हम split accounting करेंगे. Split accounting के लिए what will we do? हमने क्या किया, पहले साल का हमारा जो है 3 साल का पीरियड का एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट था, बॉन्ड हमने इशू करा, तो 1,20,000 इज द इंटरेस्ट अमाउंट दैट विल रिसीव एट द एंड ऑफ ईयर 1. At the year of end 2 also will receive 1,20,000. At the third year, what will we receive? 20 lakhs plus 1,20,000, right? So what I'll do is this, all these cash flows have been built in based upon the interest rate that will receive at the rate of 6%. But had this option not been given to me, had this option of conversion not been given to me, I would have earned interest at the rate of 9%. So what I'll do is I'll discount all these cash flows using the discount factor at 9%. This is for year 1, year 2, year 3. Present value comes to 18,48,122. And whereas what I have done is I have invested 20 lakh rupees, but the liability is sorry, I had received 20 lakh rupees, whereas my liability part is 18,48,000 only. So what is my balancing figure? That is my equity. So I have received 20 lakh rupees. Out of this, uh, based upon my cash flows, my value of liability is 18,48,000, and remaining amount, that is 1,51,000, is the equity component. I hope this is clear. Anything to discuss here? मैंने 20 लाख रुपए के बॉन्ड्स इशू करे, जिसके ऊपर मैंने 6% इंटरेस्ट दिया पहले 2 साल, और थर्ड ईयर में मैंने प्रिंसिपल प्लस इंटरेस्ट रीपे किया. इसको मैंने डिस्काउंट फैक्टर 9% से डिस्काउंट किया, जो कि वो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है. अगर मैं कन्वर्जन ऑप्शन नहीं देता तो 9% से इंटरेस्ट पे आउट करता. तो मैंने इसको 9% से डिस्काउंट किया, इससे मेरी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू निकल के आई, दैट इज 18,48,000. So what I have ultimately done, for 18,48,000, I have received 20 lakh rupees, because what I have done is I had given them an option to convert. So my value of liability is 18,48,000, and the residual amount out of 20 lakhs is the value of equity conversion और equity component. जो मैंने equity में conversion का option दिया था, उससे related जो fair value है, that is my equity component. अब इसकी अकाउंटिंग कैसे होगी? मैं 18,48,000 को लाइबिलिटी में अकाउंट फॉर करूंगा और 1,51,878 को इक्विटी में अकाउंट फॉर करूंगा. टोटल रिसीट्स मेरे 20 लाख. नाउ व्हाट आई हैव डन इज आई हैव इनकर्ड 1 लाख रुपीस एज इश्यू कॉस्ट आल्सो. मैंने इस इंस्ट्रूमेंट को इशू करने के लिए 1 लाख रुपए जो है वो इशू करे, वो कॉस्ट इनकर करी है. सो व्हाट इज माय इशू कॉस्ट? दिस इशू कॉस्ट विल बी प्रो rata adjusted in the liability part as well as in the equity part. ये 1 लाख रुपए in this ratio will be adjusted from the same, right? So these are my net proceeds. Net proceeds are my 19 lakhs. These are my net proceeds. This will be accounted for in profit and loss account immediately, and this will be accounted for in my equity part. I think this example is quite clear. Compound financial instruments. This is the same example. आपका जो भी अमाउंट डिटरमिन होके आया, नेट प्रोसीड्स इज 1755,716. 1755,716. आप इस पे जो इंटरेस्ट है, दिस इंटरेस्ट इज माय इफेक्टिव इंटरेस्ट रेट 10.998. ये कैसे डिटरमिन हुआ? 10.998 ये कैसे डिटरमिन हुआ? ये डिटरमिन हुआ based upon 9% plus whatever issue cost I have incurred. इस इशू कॉस्ट को कंसिडर करके मेरा EIR रेट निकला. उससे मैंने इंटरेस्ट यहाँ पे लोड किया. 120 मेरी पेमेंट हुई. दिस इज माय क्लोजिंग लायबिलिटी 1828. नेक्स्ट ईयर की ओपनिंग लायबिलिटी बनी, सेम रेट, सेम थिंग. सो दिस इज माय इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट. टोटल फाइनेंस कॉस्ट इज माय 6,04,000, जो कि नॉर्मल सिनेरियो में मेरी कितनी डिटरमिन हो रही थी 6% के हिसाब से 3,60,000। अगर मैं आई गैप में अकाउंटिंग करूंगा तो माय इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट विल बी 3,60,000, whereas when I am applying this Ind AS my interest cost is 6,04,284। आई गैप में मेरे 1 लाख जो भी 1 लाख minus 7,594 जो अमाउंट था that is accounted for as upfront cost, वो मेरी उसी टाइम बुक हो जाती, बट इसके अंदर वो EIR के थ्रू एम्बेडेड हो गई है इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट के अंदर 1 लाख रुपीज, दैट इज ऑल्सो माई फाइनेंस कॉस्ट। ओके, और इक्विटी के अंदर 151,858 जो डिटरमिन हमने फेयर वैल्यू करी थी, लेस जो फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ इश्यू कॉस्ट का जो प्रोराटा अमाउंट आया था 7,594, दैट इज क्रेडिटेड टू इक्विटी। और एक चीज हमेशा इसमें ध्यान रखना, जो भी अमाउंट आप इक्विटी में लेके जा रहे हैं रिलेटिंग टू कंपाउंड फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, दैट इज नॉट सब्सिक्वेंटली रीमेजर्ड। ये कभी भी रीमेजर्ड नहीं होगी, ये एक बार फ्रीज हो गई तो हो गई, राइट? एनी डाउट टिल हियर? My PPT is complete. If anyone has any doubt, they can ask.
Good afternoon, Nitish ji. I have a
Very-
doubt.
हाँ जी सर। Yeah,
Sir,
please.
मेरा एक compound, suppose there is a compound instrument which had a equity component as well as a financial component,
Liability, right?
and after few times some terms and condition of the instrument are changed, and we are required to classify that instrument as a equity, pure
Okay.
equity.
ठीक है।
So in that case, I think we are required to do a fair valuation of that equity instrument.
Fair valuation of that liability.
Okay, liability which is to be converted into equity.
Right.
तो सर इसमें हुआ क्या कि my total carrying amount of the equity which is never, as you mentioned right now, which is never subsequently remeasured, that
Right.
is around, let's take an example of 9 lakh.
सर इसी एग्जांपल को कंटिन्यू करते हैं। इस एग्जांपल में whatever has been classified as equity is untouched, whatever remaining amount is the financial liability. Now what you are saying is this financial liability is converted into equity due to certain change in the terms of the conditions, right?
करेक्ट सर, एक
So,
बार
but-
आप
but-
स्क्रीन शेयर कर सकते हैं एग्जांपल की, तो मैं वहां पे स्पेसिफिकली राइट, लेट्स सपोज,
right?
नहीं सेकंड पेज पे ही जाइए सर, लास्ट पेज।
लास्ट पेज पे जाएं। ओके।
Now let's say we are on the end of year 2 where my closing liability is 19 lakh and my equity component is 1,44,000,
राइट।
right? अब जब मतलब मान लीजिए, मतलब here it won't fit but that example, तो जब मैंने इस पूरे, क्योंकि जब मैं फेयर वैल्यूएशन करूंगा फाइनेंशियल लाइबिलिटी कंपोनेंट की नहीं कर सकता, तो जनरली व्हाट वी डू इज वी कैलकुलेट अ फेयर वैल्यूएशन ऑफ होल कंपोनेंट ऑन रिकॉग्निशन। तो उसमें इक्विटी कंपोनेंट को माइनस करके जो रेजिडुअल बचा, दैट वी कंसीडर इट इज अ फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ माय फाइनेंशियल कंपोनेंट, राइट?
राइट।
तो इस केस में सर क्या हो रहा है कि जो मेरी इक्विटी कंपोनेंट की वैल्यू 1,44,000 है, मेरी होल इंस्ट्रूमेंट की फेयर वैल्यूएशन 1,40,000 आ रही है।
नहीं, इसमें पता है सर आप क्या कर रहे हैं, यू व्हाट यू आर डूइंग इज यू आर मॉडिफाइंग अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, तो इसमें मॉडिफिकेशन का कंसेप्ट लगेगा। व्हेन यू आर मॉडिफाइंग अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट तो आप इंसेप्शन पे इसकी फेयर वैल्यूएशन नहीं कर सकते, आप आफ्टर एट द एंड ऑफ 2 इयर्स 1909 की फेयर वैल्यूएशन करिए, और जो 1909 की फेयर वैल्यूएशन डिटरमिन होके आएगी दैट विल बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू इक्विटी। 144,284 वो जो है वो एज इट इज स्टैंड कर जाएगा। मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं, इस केस में भी आप देखेंगे कि 3 साल बाद आपने ऑप्शन दिया टू कन्वर्ट करने के लिए, लेकिन आपने उसको 144,284 में अकाउंट फॉर कर लिया इक्विटी में, राइट? 3 साल बाद उन्होंने ऑप्शन को एक्सरसाइज ही नहीं करा और आपने 20 लाख रुपीस की रिडम्पशन कर दी, स्टिल ऑल्सो आप इक्विटी के अंदर उसको अकाउंट फॉर करते रहेंगे। आपने 20 लाख रुपए लिए थे, 20 लाख रुपए पे भी कर दिए और इंटरेस्ट भी पे कर दिया, बट स्टिल आपका इक्विटी पार्ट जो है वो क्रिएट हो गया।
ओके।
आपके
तो आप
केस में
कह
क्या
रहे
हुआ, मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ। मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में क्या होता है कि जब मॉडिफिकेशन होता है तो पीछे वाली चीज को टच नहीं किया जाता, आगे वाली चीज को टच किया जाता है। तो आफ्टर 2 इयर्स आप फेयर वैल्यूएशन डिटरमिन करिए कि अगर आप आज की डेट में ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट इशू करते इस तरीके का, तो उसकी फेयर वैल्यूएशन क्या होती, उस फेयर वैल्यूएशन पे आप उसको कन्वर्जन करिए।
हाँ सर,
और
मैं
उन
वही
दोनों
कह
का
रहा हूँ
गेन और लॉस जो है दैट विल बी अकाउंटेड फॉर अकॉर्डिंगली।
सर। ये ना एक स्टार्टअप है, तो इसमें
हाँ
मैं
हाँ
यही कह रहा हूँ आपको कि जो मेरी कैरिंग वैल्यू ऑफ इक्विटी है ना, तो
हाँ जी,
मेरी क्योंकि डाउन डाउन हो रहा है, कंपनी मतलब अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं कर रही, तो वैल्यूएशन डाउनवर्ड जा रहा है। तो मेरी जो
राइट।
कैरिंग अमाउंट ऑफ इक्विटी है ना, तो टोटल इंस्ट्रूमेंट की फेयर वैल्यू कैरिंग अमाउंट ऑफ इक्विटी से भी कम आ रही है। तो
कोई
मेरा
बात नहीं
क्वेश्चन
सर,
ये
उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
तो आप कह रहे हैं कि लेट सपोज इन दिस केस माय कैरिंग अमाउंट ऑफ इक्विटी वाज 1,44,000 एंड माय फेयर वैल्यूएशन इज कमिंग टू 1,40,000। तो जो
राइट।
ये 4,000 का डिफरेंस है, सिंपली आई विल टेक इट टू पीएनएल, माय
नहीं
लायबिलिटी
नहीं नहीं नहीं
कंपोनेंट विल
नहीं
बी
सर,
नील।
ये तो रीमेजर होगा ही नहीं कभी, ये तो अकाउंट फॉर हो गया।
गॉट इट।
ये तो रीमेजर होगा ही नहीं कभी, ये तो बस अब फ्रीज हो गया। अब आपका जो भी डिफरेंस आ रहा है फेयर वैल्यू का, उसकी अकाउंटिंग होगी। अब
हाँ
अगर वो
सर, मैं
सरप्लस आ रहा है, अगर वो सरप्लस आ रहा है तो वो इक्विटी में आ जाएगा, और अगर वो लॉस आ रहा है तो वो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में चला जाएगा, और फिर वो वापस स्टेटमेंट ऑफ चेंजेस इन इक्विटी में आ जाएगा। मतलब नेट में आपका वही दिखेगा, बट अल्टीमेटली दिस अमाउंट विल बी सेम एज जो पहले आ रहा।
टू समराइज दिस 19 लाख विल गो इनटू पीएनएल, राइट?
राइट।
ओके, गॉट इट सर, थैंक्स।
एनी अदर डाउट? I think we have covered all the aspects today, and there is no more doubt to be there in the chat box. One more doubt is, yeah, I'll definitely share this PPT. I had already shared all the previous PPTs also, and always also share the recording of this webinar as well. Manaji?
Hanji. So thank you, Nitish ji, for
Thank you.
providing the insights on the NDS. I hope all the participants are have a detailed idea of the NDS application, as well as the theoretical as well as the practical knowledge. And today evening you will be
Your voice is breaking, Manaji.
is it I'm audible now?
Yeah, it's audible now.
So today evening we will be continuing with the NDS session. And if in case any query regarding the NDS, you can contact Nitish ji directly, or you can ask in the chat box or WhatsApp group that we have created specially for the valuation exam as well. So thank you participants for joining in the session. Thank you Nitish ji for actually giving the insights.
Thank you all the participants for a patient listening, and hope you will enjoy the evening session as well. That will be conducted by Praveen Kaushik ji on NDS 103 business combinations. The same link will work for all the sessions, so do join the session at 5 o'clock, 5 to 7.
Thank you Nitish ji. Thank you participants. Thank you.